Hello and welcome to Organic Edible Garden. As the moon is now in the last quarter, it's time for our garden maintenance. So today we're going to feed and mulch our summer crops, net our tomatoes and harvest our garlic. The crops that need the most food are our summer fruiting plants, like our tomatoes and eggplants, peppers and chillies. So we're going to give them a good dosage of rock dust and some chicken manure. And then we're going to give them some of our summer liquid fertilizer. But before we put any liquid fertilizer on the ground, it's really important that you water the bed first. Our summer liquid fertiliser is made up mostly of comfrey, nettle and cleavers. And it's always good to give it a good stir before you use, to get all the good stuff from the bottom. Now that we've stirred up our brew, we'll get the liquid and look at the colour. When putting it on your plants, it's important it's the colour of about a weak tea. This is much stronger, so we're going to dilute it down about 5 to 1. When applying the summer liquid fertiliser, also put it over the leaves. It'll help be absorbed into the plant. Because our liquid fertiliser is high in potassium, it not only benefits our fruiting crops, but it's also great for our flowering beneficial plants. If you don't have your own summer liquid fertiliser, which is full of comfrey, you can buy now comfrey in ready-made bottles. Comfrey, because it's so high in potassium, is great for your fruiting plants. And this one you can just spray on as needed. Now that we've watered and fed the garden, it's time to put on some mulch. You can put things like pea straw, lucerne, oats and barley straw. They're all good, but I actually prefer this lucerne chaff. It's already chopped up and it goes great in the garden. What it does, it'll keep the roots cool for the plants, keep the moisture in the ground, and it'll also feed the earthworms and bacteria. The reason I like lucerne or alfalfa chaff over any other mulch is it's a highly nitrogen fixing crop. Also, it's one of the less sprayed type of crops. It breaks down quite quickly and turns into a black mulch by the end of the season. So we'll spread it all around and that will help keep the moisture in the soil. You can buy lucerne mulch at most garden centres now, but I find by going to one of the horse supply places further out in the country, you can buy last year's supply of chaff at a really cheap price. And finally, we're going to damp it all down with a good watering to stop it flying away. By adding fertiliser to the soil and liquid feed to your plants at least once a month during the growing season, your plants will end up being stronger and healthy and more disease resistant. Next, we lay the netting over the stakes to protect the fruit from the birds. I usually tie string between my stakes for the netting to hang over, and then use the pegs to secure it to the ground. We're usually generous with our netting. We want to leave enough space for the plants to grow. This is why we choose tall stakes to begin with. I then use the same pegs to secure the netting at the top too. At our place, it is now the optimal time to harvest our garlic. This will depend on what region you are, but we plant ours in early April and harvest it mid-December. You can tell these need to be pulled out now because the leaves are now going yellow, and so we're going to pull them out and we're going to lay them just on the soil. We know we're not going to get rain for a few more days, so they're fine just laying here drying out. After that period, what we'll do is we'll get our garlic, we'll hang them this way in bunches so all the energy goes from the leaves back into the bulb. Once they're dry after about 6 weeks, we can actually chop off all the roots and all the other green stalks and then store them. If we weren't to harvest it now and we got some heavy rains in the near future, the garlic will resprout again, and once it's resprouted, it's no longer good for storage. We're going to leave the garlic for the next 3 days on the ground to dry out, and then after that we're going to choose our biggest and best cloves of garlic. Not for eating, but they're going to be our seed for next year's crop.